So usually on Mondays, we bring you our segment Different Strokes with Kei, but we've made a slight change to our programming. You'll get to hear from Kei on Wednesday, but for now, we're bringing you the segment Making Connections. And this is where we meet people right here in our community, making of the fabric of Korean society, and hear their stories. They may be from here, they may be from overseas, maybe they're just visiting the country for a while. And today we are joined by a very, very special guest because it's not every day that you can say, oh, I've hung out with MJ, that's Michael Jackson, Johnny Depp, David and Victoria Beckham, and BTS. And then on top of that, Sir Paul, the personal photographer to Sir Paul. So we're joined in the studio by another MJ Kim Myung-ju. He has some serious names to drop when it comes to celebrities in the music and entertainment industry that he has covered as a photographer, and now he has made his venture into directing films as well. So a very lengthy introduction, but welcome, MJ.
Thank you very much for having me here. It's my honor to be here.
It is our pleasure to have you. Thank you for coming in on a very wet and busy Monday. So you must be on the road a lot of the time, probably overseas as well. So let's start with where exactly are you physically based? Not usually here in Seoul, right?
It's at the moment, between Seoul and Santa Monica.
Santa Monica.
So my family is in Santa Monica. I am stuck here in Seoul because due to the coronavirus situation.
Right. So you're stuck here, you said.
Yes.
So did you come for a job and then you kind of couldn't leave? What happened?
So early January, I came here to edit my film.
Okay.
And then I meant to go back to US in April.
Ooh.
To join Sir Paul's European tour, which was supposed to start from May.
Right.
France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and UK, but which has been cancelled.
Of course.
And so instead of go there, I stayed here in Seoul because luckily there's so many things still going on in Korea. So I'm doing different projects in Korea.
Ooh, can you tell us some of the projects that you were working on here?
Okay, so I'm doing 을지로 project. I take pictures of the 을지로 장인들. And then the exhibition will happen at 세종문화회관 미술관.
Right, Sejong Cultural Center, the art museum there.
That's correct.
When's it starting?
Correct. Starting middle of October.
Middle of October, so not too much time left. When you say 을지로 장인, because 을지로 is kind of hip right now.
It's
yes. For its retro feel. But you said 장인, the masters there?
Yes.
What do they make? What do they do?
All different sorts of things, but I'm not taking pictures of the hip part of the 을지로. I'm taking pictures of the old part of the real old part. The people, the older masters who's making all that, the electronical things and working with the metals and all different industrial things. So I'm taking pictures of them.
Very different from your usual sort of
correct, yes.
people that you cover, as I mentioned, the Beckhams,
yes.
Sir Paul, of course, and Johnny Depp and BTS
Depp,
as well.
Yes.
So I know you may have received this question a couple of times, and I know you've done some interviews here in Korea as well. How do you get to become the personal photographer of Sir Paul and become the celebrity photographer that you are now, working with all these amazing artists? How do you do that?
I never knew that was going to happen because I moved to London when I was 23 years old, and I thought I was going to study film and video to become a film director. But my life wouldn't let me go that way. And then one day I picked up a camera to be a freelance photographer to survive in London.
Right.
And
I understand your English wasn't that good then too, right?
No,
so this was a way that you could start working.
Definitely.
Right.
I didn't speak any English at the time, so I have to learn from scratch, from A, B, C.
You knew how to take photographs before you even went to London, though? Or
No.
you picked up your first real serious camera in London.
At school.
You must be a very fast learner then, or you must have a very good eye. What do you think it is about you that allowed you to I understand that you have done many things until now that led you up to this point. But what do you think, try not to be too modest here, what do you think is about you that makes you good at what you do?
I don't know, desperation?
Passion, in another word?
Yeah, definitely. Passion and desperation. And also, I want to make other people happy with my photos.
Other people, the people you are shooting or the people who would be looking at your photos?
Both of them.
Both. Okay.
Yes. As well as myself too. So I think that's the philosophy of my photography. Make people happy.
Okay.
I want to make people happy.
But the way you make those people happy is
Yes.
not always the same, right? Maybe the celebrities that you photograph, maybe they want to look 멋있어. They want to look beautiful. They want to look handsome. For you, I know you have a background in news photography as well. Maybe you want the nitty gritty, not the sort of masked, you want the real look, how they are usually like.
Yes.
So maybe they don't want that. Maybe the public wants another sort of aspect of them as well. So how do you keep everyone happy?
You have to work with your subject.
Okay.
It's not taking pictures is not only my work. You have to be, together.
You have to have a good relationship with your subject.
So before I take pictures, I spend quite good time to talk to them, to understand what they're thinking and what they want to look like. And then I create the image of what he or she likes, not what I like to see. So that's the different things.
Okay.
Because if I just take pictures of what I want to see,
Right.
then my sitter maybe wouldn't like it.
Exactly.
So it's, you have to be a little bit more open, I think.
And it's a kind of an evolving relationship, I
think so,
guess.
definitely.
You
It's a
have been-
relationship. Everything's
Yeah.
about relationship.
You started working with Sir Paul since 2008,
That's
I believe.
correct. That's
so
correct,
more
yes.
than 10 years now. When you first went to meet him, and I know that his publicist, I believe,
Yes.
you had worked with him with the Spice Girls,
Spice
another
Girls,
name
yes.
to drop there.
Yeah.
When you went to meet with Sir Paul, did you have to go through like an interview with him personally too then? Not just through the publicist?
No, actually, he received my book
Okay.
through publicist, and then he said, "Okay."
He liked
so
it.
when first time I met him, it was not the interview time. It was
You were
actually,
already working with him.
Yeah, it was actually shooting time, and I was so nervous.
You must have been so nervous. Did he say anything to you? Like, I love your work. I love this shot. Or, did he give you any feedback? Because you said it's a working relationship, right?
He was like, he was like very casual, like a nice to meet you and how are you? That kind of like a very, like common like greetings, and then we start right away.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I thought it was going to be like, the only one opportunity, but the one job.
Like one job, a one-off thing.
Exactly, one shot, and then after 12 years, I still stuck with him. He cannot get rid of me.
You're using that word again, stuck.
Stuck. Yeah. I don't know why.
12 years is
Yes.
a long time.
Yes, it is.
And as you say, the relationship evolves. So obviously you have a very good relationship with him. But it can't always have been smooth sailing.
That's correct, yes.
You can get bored. He can get bored. Were there any moments like that? And if so, how did you work through them?
So after 2 years working for Paul, I kind of like lost my interest.
After 2 years? Just 2 years?
Because, of the first couple of years, jump on his private jet, go
Right.
from London to France and then take pictures there and then move to Germany and have a dinner there.
Right.
It was so amazingly fascinating.
Whirlwind, yeah.
My goodness, look at me, what I'm doing. But after a few years, I was like, oh my God, it's doing the same things again. And I lost the passion. And Sir Paul, he knew that.
Wow.
So
He could see it through your photos. Were you taking
Definitely, yeah.
fewer photos?
No, I think that the amount was similar, but there was no sparkle
I see.
in my photos.
Wow.
So one day he asked me to sit down next to him. He said, "MJ, I don't think your pictures makes me excited anymore."
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not
Ouch.
excited anymore by your photos.
Definitely.
Ouch.
I thought I was going to be fired at the moment, but he gave me another chance, and then it revived me from that, from dark time to the light.
Wow. That must have been a scary moment.
It was a very scary moment, yes.
And after that, so that was the first the first 2 years.
Yes.
10 years have passed since then. And no,
Luckily, we never had a conversation like that again.
very good to hear. I heard through another interview that you gave, you usually take in one day when you follow him on tour, 1,500 photographs.
Yes.
And then you go through all of them and you weed out maybe, and then you come up with what, 50 or 60 that you
That's
sit
correct.
down with him
Yes.
and then you go through. How can you do that all by yourself? 1,500 photos. do you know sort of like, that's the shot or this is the shot? As you're taking them, kind of, do you know, that would have been good? Because how can you go through 1,500 shots after the whole night of, taking photos? You must be so exhausted.
It is, but you have to remember, I've been photographed his show more than 300 times.
Okay.
And he used to marry to very, very nice photographer. Linda McCartney. He was a very
amazing
good
photographer.
And also Paul McCartney himself, he's a good photographer too. He's a very artistic. So I have
not
to
an easy client.
Not an easy client. So I have to come up with a different angle, different type of photography to make him happy, to make his eyes fresh. So that's the big challenge.
Yeah.
So that's why I have to go different position and then trying to make another different type of photos all the time. That's why I take a lot of photos. I'm just hoping, okay, I need to do another great photos.
Looking at some of your photos, they are amazingly diverse. I have to say, the angle, even black and white and color. There's so many different ones that show him on stage or sometimes coming off the stage in so many different moments. I know it's impossible, but can you say, like, right off the top of your mind, is there a favorite shot of him? Like, that may change over the years, but right now, is there a favorite shot of his that you want to talk about, maybe?
There's a picture that not many people have seen it.
Oh.
In 2012, I think, Paul was invited by Barack Obama at the White House. And I was told I cannot, take pictures from my usual site.
Okay.
So I put the camera in between the drum set with a remote control.
Oh.
And then during the show, because I was the back of the room, I was just keep taking, press the button, the remote control, hoping to get some nice photo. And
with no idea what's actually coming out.
No idea. But I got really nice picture of Paul, Barack Obama together looking at each other with a big smile.
Wow.
That was the picture Paul really, really loved.
I think if you were actually physically there, you might not have gotten that shot.
Exactly.
Because you were, because you weren't visible, so it was a very candid
moment. Yes. Yeah.
That is amazing. Were you here when he came to Korea in 2015?
2015. Yes, I was here with him. Yeah.
Because of K-Wave, Hallyu, and also even covering someone like BTS, you must have felt a sort of a different emotion when you followed him to Korea. Was it different, that experience?
It was very, very emotional. I was almost crying.
You were different, that experience?
It was very, very emotional. I was almost crying.
You were?
Yeah. Paul never been to Korea before. The Beatles never been to Korea. And it was our first time come together. And I remember as a child, not a child, but as a young adult, I was watching Olympic on TV, the 88 the stadium.
Yes.
And then I walked into that stadium with Sir Paul McCartney as he's a personal photographer.
Yeah.
It was a very special feeling.
I bet you didn't think that when you were watching the Olympic Games in 1988, right?
No, not at all, not at all. Yeah.
There must be so many special moments. I heard that you want to continue working with him until as long as he goes on the stage, as long as he's still performing.
Yes.
But in the meantime, because he's not performing every year, and especially with COVID-19, who knows when he might be able to perform, you are taking on these other jobs, working with maybe stars like BTS, amazing campaign for, it was an advertising campaign, right?
Yes, definitely.
As a BTS fan, I can't help but ask, what's it like working with BTS? I mean, because I've heard you say, only nice things about Sir Paul. How about BTS, the 7 members there? Because they're so big, right?
Actually, BTS was even better. No. They're really nice. A bunch of the young men, and
as I thought, right?
I worked with them 3 times over 3 years, and every time their manner would get better and better as they get more famous. I don't know how do they do that, but really nice human being, very humble. Work really hard and nice to every single person in the studio.
Well, it's a two-way thing, because you're nice and you bring out the best in them. I guess that's how you manage to have such an impressive list of clients as well. I want to talk about your film, but very shortly, for maybe so many photographers out there in Korea right now, and they're probably looking up to you. Wow, that's amazing career. Any tips for them? But one little tip for a photographer who maybe wants to go into celebrity, or they want to try their hand overseas as well. Maybe one tip for photographers?
Just the sky is limit.
Okay.
just don't stay in Korea. Just go out. You know, as I said, when I moved to London, I didn't speak any English. So do not have fear on English. Just go out and then widen your territory.
Horizon.
And then, and then just keep work hard.
Let your photos do the talking.
Definitely.
Could they use SNS, you think? Could that be a way for foreigners, maybe clients, to look at their work as well?
Definitely. You know, just go out there and then look big.
All right. Yeah. So you mentioned before you went to London because you wanted to study movies and filmmaking.
Right, yes, yeah.
And then you transitioned into, or you kind of digressed into photography, which was a very sort of lucky thing for many of us.
Yes.
But you have gone back to making movies, a short film. Tell us about this Juicy Girl.
Juicy Girl. The Juicy Girl is the short film from my the features script which I'm writing at the moment. The story of is inspired by a true event. In 1992, in the city of Dongducheon, there's one lady being killed by a U.S. soldier.
Yes.
And it's a story about that incident.
It's a sort of a dark topic, but I understand the short film. It's your first short film, right?
It is my first short.
It's already picked up numerous awards. Best Script, which you also wrote at the Montreal Short Film Awards, and the Best First-Time Director at the European Cinematography as well. How does that make you feel? Do you think that you will do maybe less photography and devote more time towards film now, because was maybe your original passion anyways?
I love doing both.
Okay.
And photography is amazingly fun, and then filmmaking is another great fun too. I realized. So if I may allowed, I would like to keep taking pictures and making films until whenever.
Will you do it here in Korea, or will you do it overseas as well?
No,
Film,
it doesn't
anyways.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, wherever my project's on, then I will be there. It can be Korea, it can be US, it can be Europe.
Juicy Girl was made in Korea,
It was, yes.
but it's in English or in Korean?
And half and half. The main actor, Kai-Will Lyman, he's a Hollywood actor.
I see.
So he flew in last December for the film. So all that American actors, they're speaking in English, and all Korean actors, they're speaking in Korean.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
And you said you're working on a feature film too now?
Yes.
Tell us about that. When could we expect it?
I'm writing the script at the moment, so I'm looking at from 2021, we're going to start a pre-production, and then shooting will be 2022, and then release 2023. That's the rough, my hope plan.
Can you tell us roughly what it's about? Because you must have it.
No, it's going to be same subject, but it's a longer version of Juicy Girl. It's not going to be same title,
right,
but it's based on same story, but there's more incidents and more stories about the lady and then the murderer.
As a photographer, would you be doing the filmography yourself? Or how much would you impact? Would you be behind the actual camera itself, the film camera, or just directing it?
I think just directing it, because, it's a different profession. Yeah. And I love working with different professionals, like, film, the art director, costume director, and, DOP. It's all fun. Work with another professional.
It's a brand new experience for you, I guess, right?
Yes,
so I can't wait to see that. But in the meantime, Juicy Girl, could we see it somewhere here in Korea as well right now?
Yes, it has been invited by 강릉 국제영화제, 강릉 International Film Festival, which is starting from 4th of November.
Okay.
So yeah, it will be
We'll
open.
have to wait a bit. But,
Yeah, we have to wait a bit, yes.
But Juicy Girl picked up a lot of awards and shows another side of your many, many talents. And once again, MJ, thank you for coming in. I can't believe our time is already over, but it's been a real pleasure talking with you, and I wish you the best of luck in all your future endeavors.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you. It was very fun.